So I've got this thing on the screen right now, and this is it looks like a dome. And this is where my wife and I spent my birthday. And the reason why we're talking about it now is because I had nightmares the entire night that we stayed there 2 nights. I had nightmares both nights, like crazy dreams. Both of us couldn't fall asleep. And there's a reason that I am postulating that I am guessing that is. And it has to do with the fact that the whole thing is plastic. And the sheets that we were sleeping on was plastic. And even though it looked majestic, we could see the outside within this. It just didn't feel right when we were in it. We couldn't sleep. Our dog couldn't sleep. And so I'd like to just talk about all the things that I have been transitioning in my life for a couple decades to get into a more natural rhythm with the earth. And a lot of that has to do with getting rid of plastics. Science is laughably always behind, right? And so now I'm seeing all these articles that science is now validating that if you're drinking out of plastic bottles, you are consuming lots of microplastics. If you're doing anything with plastic, you're consuming a lot of microplastics. I actually met a person, his business is making these like faux fur clothing and hoodies. And so fake fur is made out of a lot of plastic strands. And because he was the owner of the business, he was telling me he was having a lot of hormonal issues from just being in the warehouse where the stuff was manufactured. There's a book that I read. It's called The 100-Year Lie is what I think it's called. And that book talks about the chemical revolution in 1905. And there was this saying, better living through chemicals. And that is referenced in the movie, I think it's called Black Waters or Dark Waters, where they're talking about DuPont and making forever chemicals, which is also now being validated. Again, I say laughably superficially by the media, by Western science, but those people that have been in the know and just use their heart or their gut instinct around what they're bringing into their home, what they're bringing into their kitchen, have known about this forever and have known about this to a deeper level than science can validate because it just feels wrong. Now, in this book, The 100-Year Lie, there's a few pages where it talks about the first 15 minutes of your day and how you're exposed to thousands of chemicals in the first 15 minutes. It's talking about the fire retardants in the mattress, the fire retardants and in the carpet, all of the paint fumes, the volatile organic compounds, the VOCs that are coming off of the paint, the perfume you're putting on, the shampoo, the list of like 20 ingredients in your shampoo, in your conditioner, in your soap, in your cleaning, what you're cleaning the ground with, the lipstick, the makeup you're putting on, then you put on your clothes, and all of that may have an impact on us. And this isn't, I'm seeing the comments as like, that's insane. We can't keep away from this crap. Well, the thing is, you can start to make choices. You can start to make decisions. That word decision, decise, D, day, size, which is the same root as scissors, to cut off is what decision means. And we can start making decisions and choosing one thing over the other. I haven't been drinking out of plastic water bottles for 10 to 15 years. Have you guys hear the crinkle in that plastic when you pick up a bottle and you hear it crinkle? What do you think that crinkle noise is from? Imagine from a microscopic level. You have layers of plastic that are smooth and you pick up the bottle and you crinkle it. What's happening? That crinkle is actually the sound of breaking layers of plastic. What do you think happens when you break the plastic? Shards of it, microscopic shards, nonetheless, but shards of it are going into the water that you are then drinking. When you're putting on polyester clothing, you open the laundry machine. right? You open the dryer. What are you breathing in? Plastic from your clothes. You take out the lint tray. It's not cotton in there. It's all of the polyester fibers that you're taking it out, you're cleaning it off, you're breathing that in. All of that plastic ends up, 100% of men's testicles have microplastics in it. It's in our brain now. It's always been in our blood. It's always been in breast milk. It's everywhere. The current estimates are that the modern human is eating a credit card amount of plastic every single week. Every week. A credit card. So we can start making decisions. And I started doing this a long time ago. No longer drinking plastic water. Why? Because when I drink out of a plastic water bottle, I can taste the plastic. If I drink out of a water bottle that's glass, even though it costs 3 times as much, I don't taste plastic. And so the 10 to 15 year ago version of myself just made a choice. I do not desire to be drinking out of plastic. And if you're like, that's impossible, you can't taste plastic, try not drinking out of plastic for a few years and then go back to drinking plastic. If you haven't been drinking out of plastic in a few years, go drink out of plastic. And people, it's like, oh no, it's BPA free. You know what? BPA, that's not the only thing that matters. You can taste the plastic if you stop drinking out of the plastic. Even things that I buy, food stuff that's in plastic, I will always look for, is this almond butter? And I know almonds have oxalates and all of this other stuff, but if I'm buying almond butter, I'm looking for the brand that has it in a glass jar. Why? Because obviously whoever's making the decisions of that almond butter is making a decision that's better for me, the consumer, because they're putting their product in something that's safer for me. They're putting their product in something that they would feel more comfortable bringing home to their own family. Someone's saying, try a garden hose. You know, back in the day, the garden hose wasn't made out of what it's made out of now. Same thing with a lot of things. So make decisions. Next clothes you buy. I know the pretty colors are and the pretty designs are all in, plastic because it's easier to manipulate and mold designs into plastic, but you're wearing plastic. Now, there's these fields of energy that permeate the universe. They transcend time and space. How can you do that? It means that they're everywhere in the universe instantaneously. We can measure them. I've talked about this on here before. You can measure them on the other side of the universe as is instantly happening now. Torsion fields. Torsion fields are permeating the universe, and there's also things called morphic resonance, which is similar. But there's these fields of energy that are coming off of stars. It's coming off of living things, and it's allowing us to communicate and be connected with our nature, which our nature is the entire universe. And when you're putting plastic or even things like aluminum in front of these fields, it actually blocks them. So things like steel doesn't block them. Air doesn't block it. But PVC plastic, aluminum does block these fields that are connecting us to the rest of the universe. Now, you can replace universe with God if you're coming from that section, that sect, that lineage. But these fields are omnipresent, which is one of the aspects of God. Omnipotent means all powerful. Omnipresent means everywhere. Light is another name for this. And if you're wearing plastic, you're blocking your body's ability to communicate with the field and the field's ability to communicate with you. And so for me, even this is plastic, right? But guess what? I did have some made out of wood, but they broke. So another thing about plastic is that it's convenient. Plastic jars don't break as much as glass ones. So you will have a convenience issue by being natural. This is part of life. The reason why a lot of beverage manufacturers switch to plastic is because now their glass bottles don't break when they're being transported, which is going to ruin that actual bottle. And then the whole pallet now gets covered in the broken liquid, the broken glass liquid. So make choice when you're buying clothes. Opt for natural fibers. I'm sure you guys are familiar with people, all the influencers talking about linen and wool, and there's that as well. But just try to get, and that, by the way, that study was done by a Jewish rabbi. So from my perspective, it is biased because in that lineage, linen is highly regarded. And so she's out to prove something that validates their way of being, which it does. And it also validates that maybe there's other fibers, try other natural fibers and just see how you feel. It's the same thing with drinking a water bottle out of glass for a couple years. If you haven't been wearing polyester clothes and then you go back to polyester, it's going to feel icky. I've been wearing natural organic cotton or wool underwear and socks, which I don't really wear socks much anymore because I don't really wear shoes, for 10 to 15 years as well. If I put on a plastic shirt, which sometimes I do, it feels scratchy. I don't like it. I can't even explain how it feels, but it has a weird feeling. So this dome that we were staying in a couple of days ago was all plastic. Beautiful, beautiful. But we're never going to do that again. Also, guys, ask your Airbnb tenants if they have polyester sheets, if there's a way to put on cotton sheets or linen sheets. If you guys are at your house and making decisions on what to buy in terms of pillows, in terms of bedding, buy natural fibers. If you have a wool carpet in your bedroom, do not put linen sheets on your bed. If you wear a lot of linen, make sure that there's not a wool carpet in your office because you really would not like those two to mix. Someone's asking a question. What brand underwear do you recommend? So I wear Pact, and that's just what I've been wearing for forever since they first came into Whole Foods around 2011 or 12, and I saw them. And I was like, okay, natural cotton. So they also, I think, sell other fibers, but you got to make sure to get the cotton ones. How do I help our son with an anterior pelvic tilt? You don't. Your son helps himself. So you can refer him to Human Garage Fascial Maneuvers, and then it's up to him to do them. And then also take before pictures. Have him turn sideways, look in the mirror, look at where the having a belt on helps with this because you can just look at the belt and then imagine the pelvis as a bowl, and you're aiming for a balanced bowl so that an anterior pelvic tilt, anterior means front, so the front of your body, it's tilted towards the front, so the water's pouring out of the bucket down the front of his body. You can suggest to him that if it was more even, more balanced, he's going to perform better. And then this is where a knowledge of sales comes in handy as a parent. Nobody cares about your agenda. You can't be telling him why things are good for him if he doesn't care about it. So you must ask questions first. Does he play sports? Does he want performance better? Does he have pains when he goes to sleep? I don't know how old your son is, but if he's older, does he want better sexual function? Like, you have to figure out what his problems are, and then you can solve it with the suggested solutions. Nobody cares about a solution without a problem. So make sure that you're talking about the problem. Pick the scab of the problem. Pick the scab. What else have you tried? Keep on picking the scab. Have you tried, like, how long have you been trying it? Has it been working? Once you get him irritated of his problem, then you have a solution that he may or may not be interested in. Well, you may or may not be interested in this. That way you take off the pressure of what you desire and bring it on to him so he can make his choice. You may or may not be interested in this, but I I know a lot of people that have that same issue that solved it. And the way that they solved it is fill in the blank. Back to plastic. Plastic clothes make it hard for the biggest organ of your body to breathe, which is your skin. Guess where else the plastic is? It's literally everywhere. It's especially like underwear area. Guys, so socks are one of the biggest things that are made of polyester. It's ridiculous. This is not even, so if you feel like your feet smell, it's because of your socks, not because of your feet. So if I wear polyester socks, which I like never do, but this can go back. So this gives me a marker. I remember these amounts of years because I have markers. So I had a client who had a sock company. That was his business. It was a pretty cool idea. He had pockets in his socks. I think they might be called pocket socks. And he gave me like 20 pairs of these. And so this was, I know it was in 2009 or 2008 because I remember where I was training him. So 2008 or 2009, I was already not wearing polyester socks. So because he gives me his socks, which are pretty cool, and I want to try them out, I'm going to put my key in my sock or put my credit card and my ID in my sock. And so I start wearing them. Feet smell weird. So if you guys are wearing plastic socks and you're noticing your feet are smelling weird, try using not plastic and your feet will smell completely differently. What are the effects of sleeping on a shitty mattress? Well, I just talked about at the beginning of this, I was having nightmares all night. Like every single time I woke up from this shitty mattress, you're going to like, that's one thing. My body knew it was inharmonious and it was translating into nightmares. So it might not happen for everybody, but something inside me knew that I was in a dangerous environment and that was translating into my dreams. Another thing is that you're spending a third of your life on the mattress. A third of your life. So if you're going to invest in a water filter and you're going to invest in organic food and you're going to invest in natural fibered clothing and you're going outside and you're earthing and you're doing all of these things, invest in sleep quality. If you're living near a freeway, do you have an air filter in your bedroom that is rated to filter out fumes? This is medical grade air filter. These would be air filters that are in hospitals or air filters that would be in like where you're messing around with paint fumes, because a lot of air filters, the machines, they're just getting particulates, but you need fumes if you're concerned with the road pollution or stuff that's being sprayed on us from above. It is ridiculous. I go outside and I see this white haze everywhere. This white haze, where did this come from? Well, I've been since 2007 watching chemtrails being sprayed, and now it's obviously they've got it down where it's literally blocking out the sun. Because when I go up into the mountains, I look down, I see this white haze, or airplanes, you can see this white haze. It's definitely reflecting out the sun, because I can actually see it turns orange at sunset, which means that it's actually not allowing the light to come through. I can smell chlorine in the shower. Yes. A shower filter is also, since 2006 for me, necessary. In the house that I'm in right now, we have 4 filters that the water goes through before it gets to our shower. Whole house filters. And then in our sink, we also have, or in our kitchen, we also have more. Some under the sink, some on top of the sink. And water's something that I don't know the complete answer to. Some people say we shouldn't even be drinking water because drinking is something that 4-legged animals do. They have a tongue to lap, to pull up water. And we have hands to pick fruit that hold water. And then there's distilled water versus spring water versus machine filtered water versus hydrogen water. There's all of these things. I will say I'm not one to make a recommendation because I don't make recommendations on diet, on water, These are things that everybody should invest in themselves to make their own decision. Thoughts on bamboo? Try it. Everyone's going to have different opinions on different things. We've been boiling water right now. Water tested positive for E. coli, so I'm distilling water. What's the best fabric for feet and genitals? Just start with natural, guys. When you're looking for best, it's something that you figure out, because you can go on the internet or you can find somebody to tell you what is best. It's best for them, or it's best for their company because they have a product that offers that. What do you think of bamboo socks? Do it. Usually bamboo is also mixed with things, so you can get a mixture of bamboo and hemp or bamboo and cotton. Try it out. It's going to depend on how long it's going to last, how it feels when you're walking around your house. I don't know if you have wood floors, carpet, tile. That all matters when it comes to socks, because some of these socks are really slippery. Would you like to open a whiskey distillery with me? Not sure how that would benefit myself yet, but maybe you can offer a reason why that would. I can't recall ever having good dreams, likely due to the mattress I've been sleeping on. Diet causes stiff neck. Inflammation causes stiff neck. Diet can cause inflammation. Inflammation is redness, swelling, heat. And when your body's immune system is working, it can cause all of that. Likely, if you want to know how that could be related to diet, it's because you're polluted with chemicals like herbicides and pesticides that's ruining the gut microbiome, and or you're eating too much plant defense mechanisms, which is compromising your digestive system. All of that is up to you to determine what is proper. And what ends up happening is, like, for instance, if your gut bacteria is destroyed because of herbicides like glyphosate, the villi in your intestines that are grabbing nutrition, they are unable to operate because they're coated with bacteria. If those bacteria are dead because you're spraying weed killer on your food, or you're eating food that other people spray weed killer on, that's going to destroy all the bacteria in your gut. These villi are going to be pointless, and your gut's going to try to let nutrition in. So it's going to open up some slits, and that's what we call leaky gut, if you've heard about that. And leaky gut is essentially the outside of your body, which is your intestine. From mouth to anus is technically the outside of your body. What's there should be on the outside. Your body will pull in the nutrition that it needs and the water, the hydration that it needs. But if you have slits and perforated gut, then you're leaking in feces. And when the feces go into your body, now you have external objects in your blood and in your organs. And now your immune system is going to attack. And now you've got something called autoimmune. Auto means self, immune, attacking. So your body's got autoimmune diseases. I was trying not to say that word so I don't get flagged, but that's what these autoimmune issues are, is your body's attacking itself. And it's going rampant, attacking all of these foreign objects that are everywhere, including plastic. And then it gets confused on what is you and what is not you. And it starts just going nuts, and it can get into your joints and cause things like arthritis, or, as you're saying, stiff neck. I always get stiff neck when it starts getting cold. Movement is going to help with this. Postures like fascial maneuvers, even just making sure you're moving on a daily basis, is going to flush your body. It's going to flush your lymph, and also start fixing your diet. Structured water will always be best for us. Mold in the walls, gas stoves, and other hazard. Yes, and yes. And this is where we make the decision. Do we use a gas stove that could likely be putting carcinogens into the air, into our food, or do we use an electric stove, which is putting EMF and radiating our food? It's up to us to make that decision. There's no easy decisions here. But to know that there's a decision is the start. A couple months back, I purchased a Naturapedic bed. Yeah, we have one too. Again, not convenient. It cost us $12,000, but it's an organic mattress. And as I said, we're spending a third of our life on it. So why not? And it's also heavy. It's a pain to move. What supplements and vitamins do you recommend to take at night? Starting taking Fascial Foundation, Release and Fuel in the morning, and I'm loving it. Currently, magnesium at night. It seems like you're taking a lot already. However, you want to do more, go to my website. You'll see what I recommend beyond what you're already taking, which is good for nutraceuticals. You're looking to support your diet in a way that nourishes, detoxifies, and repairs you. We've got programs that we help out a lot of people with. We help out a lot of doctors to recommend it to their clients as well. What's the best option if you can't afford organic mattress, sleep on the floor? If you're single and you want to go through an experiment and also keep your body in alignment. So when you sleep on, I'll give you some benefits of sleeping on the floor. Like number one, there's a book that I had that talked about how just sleeping on like a little pad, like a few sheets or blankets, but this is good. So when you sleep on a massively padded mattress, imagine sleeping on a mattress that's soft. All of that softness is going to be grabbing onto the soft tissue in your body, your muscles, your tendons, your fascia. Let's just stick with fascia. It's going to be grabbing onto your fascia because the fascia is what encapsulates all of that. It's going to be grabbing onto your fascia and it's going to be pushing it up. All of your weight is going to be on your fascia. As opposed to if you sleep on the floor or a hard-ish surface, what you'll first recognize is that the bony structures of your body is what is being pressed up into. The floor is supporting the bones if you're on a harder surface. So your hip bones are going to be held with the floor. Your scapulas are going to be held with the floor. You're going to feel your bones on the floor as opposed to a mattress, which is kind of like this soft thing that's grabbing on your fascia. All of your soft tissue, fascia included, should be relaxing. If you imagine your bones, it should be relaxing at nighttime on a hard surface like the ground, which would be natural. Our bones would be held and then everything else gets to relax as opposed to soft thing pressing up and stressing out. And now our bones are hanging on our fascia. So our bones being supported on a hard surface, it's completely different. It's something that you really won't know exactly what I'm saying until, like, if you just go lay down on a carpet or your hardwood floor right now, you'll feel what I'm talking about. You'll feel your bones are what is being held up as opposed to go lay on a mattress and you don't really feel anything. It's just kind of like squishing you in and rotating your shoulders forward as opposed to pressing and supporting up the bones and then allowing everything at nighttime to relax. Try that out. And you can also just put a towel rolled up on your neck. And that'll help because sometimes the back of my head, if I sleep on the floor, is the thing that hurts because the back of my head's used to being on a pillow. And if you go straight to the floor, the back of your head hurts. But if you redistribute that weight of your head into this curve right here, then it'll help out. How often should we fast? We fast every single night, everybody. Every night we fast. That's what the first meal is called, break fast. So we fast every single night. How often should we fast? Again, another amazing question that everyone should individually figure out and then figure out how they can fit that into their social and family life because everybody else is going to have a different idea of what they should be doing versus what you're doing. So you can start out by increasing the time that you're doing it at night. Make your last meal earlier and make your first meal later. That's a way. And then that'll eventually you'll get to later on in the day and you're like, oh, wow, it's already 3 o'clock and I haven't eaten yet. And then you can just say to yourself, I'm going to see if I can make it till tomorrow morning and just try that out. It doesn't have to be anything. You got all these gurus saying like, you need to do this and that and this and that. Come from a background where I used to own gyms and I used to train people to be ready for anything. And I used to also be one of the best in the world that was ready for anything. I could bike up a mountain. I could put on a bunch of equipment and run through a mountain and then swim and then with my eyes closed perform tasks while exhausted, while just eating or while not eating for an entire day or not sleeping or basically helping people be ready for any challenge that you could possibly face in life. I trained a lot of LAPD, I trained a lot of firemen where that was important for them to stay living. I also trained athletes where it was important for their performance. And I also just trained people that generally liked to do things like go on a random hike of 24 miles on a Saturday because they can, or see if you can swim to the nearest oil rig just because you want to express your human body. So when it comes to fasting, I take the same approach. Preparing for a fast seems backwards to me because if it ever gets to the point where there's no food, you don't get to choose what you got to eat as your last meal or the meal before that or the 5 days before that. I've been at times in my life where there's just nothing to eat or I can't eat for days or I couldn't afford to eat for days. And you take what you can get and then you don't eat. And that's how it would be naturally. When I eat junk food, I get inflammation, especially crisps. What do you use? Gas stove or electric? Right now we have our stove is actually electric, but we do have a gas top thing, but we barely ever use that stove. Those mattresses are so heavy. Yes, they are super heavy. And you're probably going to break them. So be prepared for that when your very, very expensive mattress gets turned around a corner and gets bent. Be careful when you move. If you're using these natural organic mattresses, they're not made to bend. Usually they have a frame. Also, again, metal frame. Something I would like to avoid, but in order to have an organic mattress that was made in 2024, you're dealing with also metal, which is disrupting energetic frequency. So there's all of these like positives and negatives to weigh out because metal is going to attract frequency, which is potentially inharmonious to our body. Another thing that's very inharmonious is geopathic zones. Geopathic means like sick earth, right? Geopathic lines. And what creates those is moving water. So I wish I knew. Let me see if I can pull up the study. Geopathic zones, cancer images. So if there's a river going underneath your house, then you're in a geopathic environment. And you're going to, I'm looking at some stuff right now that's talking about how so check out this. You guys see this one? Yeah. This one that I have my cursor around right here. So let me see if this is actually the study I was looking for. It looks like it. This definitely looks like it. Where's this coming from? All right. So what a geopathic zone is. So this is just a random website. This is it. So this is coming from a study, which I can't seem to find, but here is people. Why is it not? This is, let me see if I can get this on the screen. So they went and they looked at where everybody was having cancer, like in their brain or in their cancer of the kidneys, sleeping here 7 years after 5 years in this bed Whoa, 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 whoa. Mr. Rausch died of cancer of the kidney, bladder, and gonad. Mrs. Rausch changed into her husband's bed after his death. What is this thing that says praxis? She has been warned of the danger. Sleeping here 17 years, Mr. Cole suffers from asthma since 16 years old. Mrs. Cole has bronchitis since 5 years. So these are the geopathic zones underneath their bed and how they looked at couples. And now these zones are going around the entire earth. And then also the piping in your house causes them as well. And so there's a pipe that's going in one direction and it's going over the throat on one person and then it's crossing over the ovaries of the other person, then they're going to have problems in different areas of the body. And I know this study was done in Europe somewhere, I believe. That's why this is these are in different languages. 69-year-old man dies of cancer of the stomach. Is this the actual study? Carriages. Anyways, you guys can look into this. Is there a title on this? Geopathic stress, scientific solutions. This looks like somebody else's blog, though, that's quoting the actual study. Is that correct? Anyways, that's another thing to be aware of, which is amazing that there's so much of this. So that's why I say that to not just take somebody's word for what to do, you must become interested, because when you become interested in these things, then that leads you to see how the whole thing fits together. And then you're aware of 5 other things. And at least this awareness brings an ability for you the next time you move or the next time you make a choice on something to buy, that you have a little bit of awareness and you can go back and you can look. That is a whole other rabbit hole thing. But this is actually what led me to understand the grid lines of the earth. And there's positive energy vortexes on the earth. And even indigenous cultures knew about this. They would determine where they put their teepees based on if there were ants in that area or based on if a cat was there. So a cat likes geopathic zones. So if a cat is constantly on your bed, it's likely you should move your bed. Because if the cat likes that area, that's not an area that's going to be harmonious for you. So there's all of this wisdom, and then there's dowsing, which people will say is debunked, which is ridiculous because you can go do it yourself. It's like, just because the media says that it's not true, like, you can actually experience it. My father did this to me when I was like in 3rd grade or something. He gave me these 2 metal things and he's like, walk across the yard. And I walked across the yard before I even knew any of this. We're talking about like 3rd grade version of myself. And the 2 things crossed right where our water line that went into the house was. And I remember that. And then so 15 years later, I'm learning about this. And then I'm learning about dowsers, which find water. And you can use dowsers to determine where these lines are. And then there's all these people that say, like, no, dowsing's not a thing. But it's like, there's some of us that do it. You can't say that things aren't true just because it's disproving some other science that you have. We are our own best teachers. Yes, exactly. Boll and Branch also has the softest organic bedding. Thank you. How do you protect yourself from iPhone? Do you keep in your pocket? No, I haven't kept a cell phone in my pocket. I haven't kept a wallet, guys. I quit using a wallet in my pocket, in my back pocket, in like middle school or high school. A wallet. This is before cell phones came out, but a wallet I stopped putting in my pocket. Why? Because now your hips are jacked up every time you sit. So if you guys are still carrying a wallet around and sitting on it, and you ask yourself, why do I have neck problems or why do I have foot problems? It's because of that. Now I sit on a wallet for a long time and then experience my problems before making the assessment like, oh, wow, that's bad. Phone in my pocket, I definitely did it the first few years. I'm alive. I was alive when cell phones became a thing. And like I had like Not like the Zach Morris have to carry your own briefcase phone, but the next models that had like the little flip at the bottom, the Motorola's. Like I had those ones where you get like 200 minutes a month to use, and then all of the other iterations that came after that. I do not carry a phone in my pocket, and I also have an EMF bag that I put it in. So I was wearing the bag, but now I try not to wear the bag so much because that bag is against my organs. Even if I have an EMF protection, like a fabric in there, it's still not good. So I try to keep it away from me. Have you ever tried to talk to me, Matt? I don't know what that is. So the answer to that is no. Thoughts on Florida, where most houses are built on former swamps? One thing I always say is, yes, you guys now know of geopathic zones because I just talked about it. It might have been something that was under your radar forever. That wouldn't be the thing that I would be worrying about yet. Okay, this is something that I came across 15, 20 years into my health journey when I stopped drinking soda when I was 17 years old, and I stopped eating fast food when I was 19 years old. And here we are right now, I'm 42, and I'm paying attention to all this other stuff. If you haven't yet done the basics, if you're still wearing polyester clothes, if you're still not going outside as often as possible, if you still think the sun is poison, this other stuff isn't going to matter. If you're still eating candy, if you're still not buying organic everything, if you're still not super skeptical about organic, and you have to ask the farmer more questions, you're not doing this. I'm saying you should be doing this first. What kind of water are you feeding your crops? Is it just regular tap water you're putting into these apples? Because I don't really feel like drinking tap water. So there's other things to pay attention to. Start with your diet, and then things like geopathic zones could come in. Now, how do I feel about it in Florida? Again, it's an unnatural environment, right? You go to Florida, the things that are living in nature are like palm trees, mosquitoes, and various forms of alligators or crocodiles. I don't know which one is correct, but one of those, and birds. And this is Florida's natural environment. Would a human being live there? We've made it so we can live there. My wife's family lives there. It would be very convenient for us to live there. But instead, we have 6-hour flights back and forth to see her family. Florida doesn't really feel that natural to me. That's my own personal thing. Everyone in Florida stays inside with their air conditioning all day long. There's some cool aspects of Florida, I'm sure. Their food is probably good because they have all that water that can support all the tropical fruit. They do have a lot of sun. How do geopathic zones create harmful effects in the human body on a physiological level? So that's what these studies are. It's physiology. It's the disruption of the Earth's natural frequency that's coming up from the Earth. The resonance that's coming up from the Earth is being disrupted by this flowing water. Natural flows of water and even pipes in your house. It's disrupting the frequency of the Earth. And that's what's causing the sickness in the actual body. So another thing to do is make sure you're earthing. There's ways that you can still earth and go outside and have most of your issues that we face in 2024 as a human on the surface of this planet. We're being bombarded by poisons. Our houses are built inharmonious. We're in these freaking square houses. We're indoors. We have air conditioning and heat that keep us comfortably at a 74-degree temperature, which doesn't allow our body to go through its processes that it would normally go through every single day and night of a fluctuation of temperature. Cold at night, hot in the day where you're sweating, and then you're cold at night that allows you to actually rest. We're not going through this, so we kind of have to exercise practice with all of that. We really don't get to choose, especially living in an apartment. Guys, think about an apartment. You're on the 19th floor of an apartment. Now, some of us are on the 19th floor of an apartment. I've had a penthouse apartment plenty of times. I've right now currently live on the second floor. Our master bedroom's on the second floor of our house. This is not the best for us. So even just elevating yourself is also getting you further and further away from the Earth's resonance. It's exposing us more to the fields, the radio signals, the microwave signals, the cosmic energy that's coming in to our atmosphere. That all gets neutralized in us by us being connected to the earth. And we're elevating our master bedrooms, we're elevating our buildings, we're elevating ourselves where we don't have that protection. Somebody also asked, do I live in cities? Yes, I've lived in cities also my entire adult life, except for when we spent a year in Mount Shasta, which I forgot to talk about. I started learning about the good zones of this earth, and there's actual chakras the planet has. And Mount Shasta is one of these energetic zones that is tangible. Like the difference between putting on a plastic hoodie, a polyester hoodie, and a completely natural fibered top, you can feel that from being in the city and then going into a place like Mount Shasta or Sedona, Arizona, or pretty much anywhere where there's a sacred site on this planet. Hawaii, it's this, it feels like the earth is hugging you. You get that feeling. And I guess what I was saying is that I don't feel that in Florida, but I do feel it in other places. And you guys will eventually start to gain an awareness of how places feel. Just like we have an awareness of temperature, we have an awareness of people. We can inherently feel people, especially if you're both not wearing plastic. You can feel the space, right? If I put a column next to you in where you're standing right now, if you guys just move something big next to you, move a chair next to you, you'll feel it. Even if you can't see it, you'll feel it. Just like we feel the planets that are going somewhere within our vicinity. I don't know how to say that in a way that satisfies everybody who's a globe earth, a flat earth, a convex earth, a hollow earth. A earth isn't real. This is an energetic matrix. This is an alien ant farm. All of the people, like whatever the thing is that is a planet here in this reality, you can feel that. You can look at the stock market gets affected by full moons. The emergency rooms get affected by full moons. The stock market, in case you guys don't know, always upticks every single full moon. So do calls for violent crime. So we get impacted by the heavenly bodies because we are one with everything. We are the heavenly bodies. This is a heavenly experience that we're having here. Why do some people have such a hard time in breakdowns in Mount Shasta? Because if you're in a place that's highly energetic and you have things that still need to be cleared out of your system, it's going to force that clearing. It's the same thing with doing body work or fascial maneuvers or intense exercises or meditations or silent retreats or dark retreats, or even just sleeping for some of us, or even just living for some of us. There's things in our bodies, in our being, that is not been worked through. And if you put yourself in an environment that forces that work through, it comes out. It detoxes from the body. And a lot of times it needs to detox in ways that we don't find comfortable. Some people will actually get physiological detox. Some people will get emotional detox. Some people, the situation around them is going to force them to deal with the situation. And so, yes, all of these places have gifts, and it has the shadow aspect of it all. And every place is like that. There's awesome things about cities. That's why I live in them or near them. We just moved 60 or so miles outside of LA so we can be close enough for the action and far enough away where we're not really feeling that hecticness of the energy. So there's benefits and what we would call negatives to everything. And I'd like to end on the fact that if you guys are watching this, it's likely, and if you've been this far into this, it's likely that you're well aware of your life and your body and how you fit into this. And please do not wait for validation. Do not wait for permission to make decisions based on what somebody else or what the news said or what the government said. A lot of us are starting to realize that before anything is going to validate, right? So if you get validation, usually that's coming after you've already known of a thing for a few years and it's just been like around in your environment. Make the decision today on the things that you feel are correct for you. And it's okay if they're not. If you find contradicting circumstances or contradicting information, that's fine. The more that you begin to trust yourself, the less that you're going to be looking for external validation. And in psychology, that's called an internal or external locus of control. Are you putting your control mechanism outside of yourself or inside of yourself? Are you the one that's responsible for yourself, or is the TV responsible for yourself, or is your Instagram scroll responsible for yourself? Put more stock, put more investment on yourself being responsible. Trust yourself. Make decisions. Some of these decisions are going to not serve you the best. And then you can calculate in your head with our skill of pattern recognition as a human why it is you made a decision that was, quote, wrong, even though it wasn't wrong. It just allows you to know which direction not to go. Half of what we learn in this life is the direction not to go. And the other half is the direction to go. If you're just waiting for validation of the direction to go, you're going to paralyze yourself and not move. Every single time you go in a direction that is the direction not to go, you learn so much. You learn to not go in that direction. You also learn how to dig yourself out of the hole that you created by going in that direction. And usually that strength that is created by you digging yourself out of that hole is going to be the exact puzzle piece necessary to serve you on the direction that you should be going. And this is how we gain resiliency. This is how we gain trust and faith in ourselves. And we get to shed the worry and the depression because we ultimately know that we are our own savior. And as long as we are here, which we always will be, then we will have a gnosis that we are taken care of. We are in the best place that we possibly can be in now, in this moment. Take care, everybody. I'll be here next week, as I am every single week. Bye-bye.